Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dar, and in case you have not forgotten, I am the IT Geek. And I'll be honest, I would not blame you if you have forgotten. It has been a minute since I did any sort of content. A lot of reasons for that, and I think I've said a bit on social media already. There's certain things I can't quite say yet. Give it a couple more, 2, 3 more weeks, I will be able to share more information. A lot of big things happening for me in my life in general, so which is one of the reasons why I've done less content. The other stuff I do want to mention is as a maybe other part-time sort of content creators, because that's why I'm a part-time content creator. And I personally find that I go through spells where I'm really motivated to do loads of content, which happened at the beginning of this year. I did, two quite full on, well, one full on series in the AZ-700 with sort of content with Mohammed Sajid, which was close to 40 episodes. And then I started the Microsoft Entra series, which you're going to be, seeing the conclusion to that coming up soon. And then I kind of burnt out a little bit, if I'm honest. So I decided just as the luxury of being a part-time content creator, I decided to take a break, which is what I've been doing. And what it's done is it's rejuvenated me. It's given me that thirst to sort of create more content. And it's given me that motivation. This is my hobby at the end of the day, so I kind of wanted to rest. But I am back, and I've got loads of stuff planned, which again is some of it. I think I mentioned I was on the podcast with Dwayne Natwick and Shannon Keane the other day, and I think last week, a few weeks ago, and I mentioned that I'm going to be doing a series around my sort of journey and my path that I've taken within IT, how it started and where I've got to now. So hopefully you'll gain a bit out of that. This isn't that. This is kind of my first video back, because I'm starting off a little bit easy, doing some a bit of fun. So I'm going to do another book review. So I'm back with the book reviews. And today, so this has been on my list. I read this nearly 3 months ago. It's been on my list ages to record. But today I'm going to do talk about the Administering Windows Server Hybrid Core Infrastructure AZ-800 Exam Guide. So this is by Steve Miles. Steve's great. I've spoken to Steve quite a few times on social media. So this is his first edition, which came out this year. So again, big shout out to Steve for actually sending me this. So today's book review is going to be that. It's a bit nice sized book. And this is obviously based on the AZ-800 exam by Microsoft. So I'm going to be doing this. My next video as well is going to be another book review. So I'm going to do the AZ-801 book, which is here. A little bit heavier, but that is Configuring Windows Server Hybrid Advanced Services, the AZ-801. Oh, that's by Chris Gill. Again, another well-known person within the sort of online community within Azure and Microsoft MVP, like Steve Miles. So those are 2 books I'm going to do. I'm going to start off with the AZ-800. And again, as normal, I'm going to, if you remember my old sort of format, I'm going to do it through the Packt subscription portal, because it's just easier to maneuver, and that's kind of what I've read through. Just kind of and made some notes around. So without further ado, let's crack on with today's tech book episode. So as I mentioned, this is the Administering Windows Server Hybrid Core Infrastructure AZ-800 Exam Guide. So as if you've seen any of my other previous exam guide videos, I kind of have a bit of an expectation about what I personally feel. And again, I feel like I'm in a good position to make a comment on these sort of things, because I've written to myself. So I did, if you remember, I did the AZ-140 exam guide, and I've done I want to say the SC-400. So I don't remember what book it was. So I've written those. So I kind of I feel like there's a format that these sort of books should really follow. And I'll be honest with you, Steve hits the nail on the head, and if anything, he goes further in my opinion. So again, like most Packt books, a little bit of a preface, and again, straight away we get into who is this book for. And I do like this thing about Packt books. They do kind of be quite upfront and like, okay, look, this book is for those that do technical implementations and administrator roles looking to pass that AZ-800 exam. So if you're prepared for the AZ-800 exam, this is the one for you. Quite short, quite snappy, a one-liner, straightforward. If you're prepared for the AZ-800 exam, you need this book. Could not agree more. So as we go kind of further down, let's start off with the first. Again, this is going back to sort of the on-premises sort of Windows Server sort of stuff, but with like a hybrid twist to it. And again, the topics are all based on the exam. So if you go to Microsoft Microsoft exam website for this exam. These topics it covers all those topics. So this is not sort of Steve making it up as he goes along. This is he's followed that strict sort of, and this is kind of what you need to do with those books because it is for that specific exam. So Microsoft already have a list of topics that you really need to study. So Steve just followed that, which is the correct thing to do. So just going down this book, very introductory sort of, starting very basic around what is Active Directory domain services. And then we get into some sort of diagrams here. Again, just backing up the sort of theory, talking about authorization, authentication. As we go further down, again, start to get some images now of the actual, user interface. And this is what I love to see in books. And I think with this specific book, because it's an administering book, we see a lot of this, a lot of practical elements to this exam, and Steve does not disappoint in that matter. He had loads of these images of the actual Active Directory and how to do things. And again, I feel personally as a reader, especially when I'm preparing for the exam, that's what I want to see. I want to see. I'm a very hands-on person, so I need to do practical stuff for it to really go in. And as we'll go further down, you'll see Steve really does hit that nail on the head. So again, explaining here around the UPN and how to, what that is, what the value is. As we go further down, what I found as well, a lot of these chapters are very long. Even though, if you look at the book, it's not like, it's not that thick. So how many pages? Let's see, 600 odd, probably. 400, under 500, right? But the chapters I found were really long, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I think because of the amount of information we have to put into these exam guides, the chapters are quite long because they're quite a big topic. So again, going into forests and really going down to a lot of detail as well. And I think the best way to explain the forest and that sort of hierarchy is through diagrams. And again, it's just great use and it complements the text, the theory, and the practical element. And really explains it well, like domain controllers. What Steve does is as well, he doesn't use like jargony, okay, so global catalog, straight away, the global catalog, GC. So again, we know GC, wherever we see GC, that is going to be that's going to be global catalog. And it's not jargony. I know it's for IT professionals to do for the exam, but it's very easy to get caught up in jargon. It's very simple, plain English, very easy to read, very easy to follow, flows very well. Engaging, and again, I'm here looking at this diagram, and I'm really engaged. I'm not just reading text after text after text, which is so hard sometimes when you're writing these books not to get caught up in. And like I said, Steve follows that down. He really does not disappoint in that area. Where we feel there's a bit too much text, bang, here comes a bit of a practical element looking at deployment configuration. And again, going through the step-by-step on how to set up a domain controller, now how to manage it, explaining, talking about PowerShell modules here, so you can do it through PowerShell. And as we go further down, now this is what I love about this book, and it's the same in every chapter. So we've got the theory now, we've seen some diagrams, we've seen some sort of images of the sort of Windows Server, Active Directory, domain controllers. Now it actually goes through hands-on exercises. So again, this book is administering. Administering is doing stuff, administering a Windows server. And it just goes through, it's an exercise. Step by step, step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Goes through every step with images and guidance. How cool is that? Being able to actually, as someone who's preparing for an exam, if I'm reading this, I'm loving it because I can set this up in my test domain now. So, and this is the same format for each book, for each chapter, sorry. So we go through that, we get towards the bottom and some further reading. But that's not it. Still some skills checks, some questions. So they're not exam questions. This is what I kind of said a lot about a few different books that I've kind of reviewed. I don't expect every chapter to have proper exam questions, but just some checks to make sure, some knowledge check, like they do on Microsoft Learn, some knowledge check questions, just to see, has it actually sunk in? And if not, like, oh God, what was list 7 logical components? I can only think of 4. What are the other 3? Right, I better go back and read that. And this is great. Just 20 little questions, not exam questions, just knowledge check. Has it gone in? I feel like Steve's watched my videos and listened to me, if I'm honest with you. So thank you, Steve. And this is the same format for each chapter. So if I go down, let me look at chapter 3 here. So I'm going to click on there. So this is, again, implementing and managing Azure Active Directory. So, we've deployed it now. And now we're talking about that sort of Azure Active Directory piece. But hands-on, look halfway towards the bottom, hands-on exercises, how to administer it, and then we have the skills check. Chapter 3, or section 4, chapter 3. The numbering always confuses me with Packt. Hands-on exercises, skills check. It's the same throughout every chapter, and it's so easy to follow. And personally, for me, this is the type of book that I want to read. This is the sort of book that's going to help me pass the exam. One that I can it's hands-on. It's got theory. It's literally got everything you need. Sometimes, with certain books that, they don't have that hands-on element. And, I know certain exams don't cater for hands-on, it might not. Obviously, this is administering Windows Server Hybrid Core. So it's in the name, the sort of practical element of it. And I know some other exams like, SC-300 or something like that, it's talks about security and identity. Doesn't mean that you're not going to need that hands-on knowledge to answer the questions. And I just feel that having a section of each chapter dedicated to a hands-on practical labs is exactly how these should go forward, in my opinion. And I've not seen it in many, if any, book that I've read so far, especially exam guides. So I think Steve's really cracked it. And I honestly, I struggle to find anything that I was like, oh, what is anything actually that I don't like about this book? And it's not really. The hands-on exercises are great. The skills check at the end, they're not exam questions. We save those till the end. Exam prep practice test questions. And these are like, 50 odd questions? It's mad. Proper exam questions with, multiple choice. So 10 questions. Pretty sure it's more than that, but I might be wrong. Oh no, sorry, yeah, there's an exam prep. Okay, so it's 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh no, so there's different practice tests, sorry. So the way it's done it is practice test 1 is about deploying and managing ADDS. Practice test 2, there's 10 questions in that. Practice test 2 is about managing Windows Server. Test 3 is about managing virtual machines. That's so clever. Just breaking the questions up as well into different sections and different topics. So again, just very smart and really engaging. I'll be honest with you, I did not find any part of this book boring. It was very easy to read. I learnt loads. I'm definitely going to be using this book. I'll probably read it again when I'm preparing for my exam because I didn't go through the actual practical elements because obviously I was reading it for the purpose of this review. But honestly, I can't recommend this book enough. It's again, I'd like to say I'm struggling to find anything wrong with it. It's so clear in his explanation. Let me just explain sort of the topics that he does cover. The screen's gone a bit weird. So if we go down, there is how many chapters in total? Chapter 30. So there's 13 real chapters where it talks about actual content. Then we get into the exam prep and stuff like that. But again, it starts off with implementing and managing Active Directory domain services. Same implementing and managing Azure Active Directory domain services, which is obviously Microsoft's domain control as a service. Managing users and computers, implementing and managing hybrid identities, hybrid networking. So this part 2 is around networking, hybrid networking. So it goes about managing on-premises network infrastructure, implementing and managing Azure network infrastructure, so in the cloud. So it covers best of both worlds, and then it goes all right in the storage. Then we've got hybrid compute, Hyper-V, managing server containers, so it's a bit of containerization there as well. So I think it contains like Docker and stuff like that. So it covers a lot of information, and like I said, the beauty of it is every element, every chapter has a practical element to it. So you can practice installing Docker on this one. It's just great, and I can't imagine the effort that went into Steve writing this book. So really top book. If you are preparing for the AZ-800 book, Microsoft Learn, and then you'll ace it. If I'm honest with you, because it's got everything you need: practical, theory, exam questions. That's kind of a complete guide, if I'm honest. Like with certain books, I've been able to say, they could have done with some questions in each chapter because they've not had any questions. They've waited till the end. But I can't say that about this because it's got those skills questions. So cracking job, Steve. Honestly, well done. I'll put the link to this where you can buy this in my sort of description. I'll link to Steve's socials, Twitter and LinkedIn. I definitely recommend reading that. Top book, and I'll be using that for when I take the AZ-800 exam. So that is it for this episode. Short and sweet. Again, I'm a bit blown away by how good this book was, if I'm honest with you. This is the benchmark now, people. So be wary if you're writing a book, and I'm going to review it, especially exam guides. This is the benchmark. This blows both of my books out of the water, if I'm honest. But yeah, so well done to Steve. Thank you for watching. So like I said, I will have the review. You'll be able to see the review of the Chris Gill's AZ-801 book. I think that'll be later on this week. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you like, and if you're not subscribed, why not get subscribing? And drop me a comment. It'd be good to hear from some of my people who subscribed and my followers. So up until next time, thank you and goodbye.